I'm probably actually going to cut that off because I just needed to say it. Hey friends, it's me, Shannan, and I am back today to talk with you about what I thought my art was going to be like versus what my art is actually like. I know I've made comments in the past about who I am and who I was. I was very much a early 90s goth girl, right? I lived in t-shirts, jeans, and flannel, and you could not see my face. My hair covered as much of it as possible. Sorry, I know I sound kind of croaky and I'm a little stuffy. We apparently had some rain last night and my sinuses hate me. So there you go. And then, I don't know, I went through this stretch pants phase when I got married and had kids. I think that's pretty normal. Like when you're in the thick of raising babies, you just want to be comfortable. You don't give a shit. I did have some nice clothes to wear to church because I was churchy at that time. But as soon as I got back to being myself, that's when all of the gothy hippie clothes started coming out. That's when I started leaning back into my fashion, the things that I felt comfortable wearing. My hair has been a purple color for many years. Yeah, so I'm a goth through and through. Like even now, I wear mostly funky pants and school t-shirts or school shirts or sweatshirts or whatever most of the time because I have to wear something that's appropriate for school. Now, that's not to say that my favorite outfit for school is not, because it is, my black yoga pants, because yoga pants are not the same as what are those form-fitting leggings? They're not the same as leggings. They got a bell bottom to them and they're really comfortable, but they look like slacks. And you're not going to catch me dead in slacks. So yoga pants it is. Anyways, they're very comfortable. And then I just wear a t-shirt. But if I can wear a black t-shirt, all the better. Black pants, black shirt. Okay, so when I started creating art, I was really drawn to dark, witchy, fantasy art. That's what I really liked. The creepier, the better, right? So when I started creating art, because I started painting, like 12 years ago, and up to that point, most of my creative pursuits had been more with like fabrics. So I had done cross stitch and crochet and quilting and scrapbooking. So when I started painting, I thought I'm gonna learn how to create art, and it's probably gonna be spooky and creepy and fall into the stuff that I enjoy looking at. So imagine my surprise when I start leaning into this bright, bubbly, cheery, kids style art. I was like, what the hell? Why is this what I'm making? Why is this what I'm good at? Because I am very good at that. And my process is very intuitive, right? So the colors weren't necessarily what surprised me because I do lean to those colors in the things that I want around me. That's my hippie part. That's my hippie side. I do not like bold classic colors like the classic red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I don't like those colors, the bold ones or the classic ones. I like the muted and jewel tone and pastels. It wasn't so much the color as the subject, as the theme. I was just really surprised. I started with florals. I think a lot of people start with florals, mostly because florals are super easy to start learning on. I learned how to do watercolor with florals. I learned how to do shapes with florals. I knew color theory, but I learned more about color theory by doing watercolor and florals. It was just a great stepping stone for learning. And if you look at my current art, you will find that there are still a lot of plants and florals in my art, and you can see that foundation, right? Because it's there. And I could talk you through the journey of my art transformation. I can take a picture of mine right now, and I can tell you exactly what stage of my art development the ideas came from or are reminiscent of. But I was really surprised that my art was not darker and creepier. In fact, I have one piece that I made that is pretty creepy looking, and it is not my favorite. I don't even know if I've shared it anywhere. I might rework it because I like everything about it, but there are some things, some elements in it that make it creepy, and I just don't like that. So I might rework it and redo it. It might be one of those, hey, I could do a video of watch me redo this piece from so many years ago, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, that's actually a really good idea. I'm driving to work. This is what happens on my way to work. I really should just start recording myself talking on my way to work, but whatever. Anyways, I was probably shocked more than anyone when I started creating art, and it came out in this cute, adorable, whimsical, flowing, fantasy, children's illustration style. And that really threw me for a loop because the name of my business is Hippie Dark Arts. And when I was originally planning my business and like my logo and my colors and everything, I was not planning for my current iteration in that way. I had different brand colors and I had different brand pictures and icons. But rather than trying to force myself into creating something that I enjoyed looking at, but clearly did not enjoy making myself, I leaned into what I enjoyed making. And as I did that, I started journaling and asking myself, like, why am I creating this? Why is this the look that my art has decided to take shape in? And what I realized is, and a lot of this goes back to my spirituality, right? I hate saying inner child. I realized that a lot of it was coming from my inner child. As much as I hate saying that, it's not so much inner child as more of a throwback to my childhood, right? To me as an actual child, to the me who I wish had art as an outlet, because I think that would have made things very different for me. Quick story time. I loved art class when I was younger, but when I was in 7th grade, we had rotations, a quarter for each different exploration, and so I was in art and I loved it, and I was making this really incredible head, and I wish, unfortunately, things happened. I ended up leaving that school and I never got to finish that head. I don't know what happened to it. I think they probably just threw it away, which really makes me sad. But I just remember it was this really kooky, weird head, and it had all these little spikes coming out of it. Kind of a Medusa meets, what's that spiky haired guy? I don't know. But it was my own creation. It came purely from my own imagination. And for whatever reason, I never took an art class after that class. I did in 8th grade. We've talked about that whole 8th grade art situation. After that class, I never took another art class. And I don't know why. So there's a part of me that wishes that I had art from a much younger age. And I think maybe part of that comes out in my art. But more than that, I love children's books. I buy them and collect them even though I no longer have small children. And what I realized was I do want to illustrate children's books. And my art was telling me that. I just wasn't listening, right? So I make cute, adorable illustrations, and I do want to illustrate children's books. But I'm still a little goth girl at heart. And guess what? That is okay. I can be a little goth girl. I can collect cute, adorable illustrations, surround myself with cuteness. I can create cute, adorable, whimsical art and children's storybook pieces, and it does actually fit with me. It is a part of me, right? It is part of what makes up who I am. Because when I was a child, I had the most vivid fantasy world in my head. My imagination was outstanding. I wish I had journaled as a kid, because I think I could have recorded some of these stories that I lived in that I told myself, right? But I didn't. They're gone forever. That's okay. Maybe someday I'll find a way to tap back into them. But for now, I have to be okay with them being gone. I think what I'm doing now is I'm tapping back into that part of me that was pure imagination. And y'all, I don't think that there is any better inspiration for the art that you create than that. What comes out of you naturally is what you are going to be best at. So if you're a creative and you have found that what you like and what you create are not the same, that's okay. That's okay. If you are not a creative, but you appreciate art and things like that, and maybe you collect things that people have made fun of you for, fuck them. It's okay. I love the fact that right now it is super popular for people to be collecting these blind box little trinkets, these cute, is the word chibi, but bubbly little figures. I think those are freaking so cute. And I'm glad that adults are just downright saying, get out of my face. I have this. I love this. And that's okay. It's perfectly acceptable for me to have these things. And I love them. And I love that that is a very normal thing in our society right now. Because, y'all, we need something to help us get through the horror and shit show that is our society right now. And if it is cute illustrations and cute little collectibles, and you're still a little goth person or a little emo at heart, don't feel guilty about collecting those things. Don't feel like you're not allowed, because you are. It's just another piece of who you are. And that's okay, because we don't have to be just one thing, right? And as much as I am still a goth girl at heart, I love the art that I create. When I hear other people tell me how my art makes them feel, I want to cry every time. But it just makes my heart swell knowing that my art makes other people feel good, because it makes me feel good making it. That's really what it's about. I just want to share it with other people, which is why I make this content here. My YouTube content. I realized my first probably 50 videos on here are going to suck, and that's okay. I'm not ever going to take them down. I'm not ever going to make any of my YouTube videos where they have to be paid for. That's not to say that I won't someday maybe have a Patreon where I make exclusive videos, but my YouTube videos are going to always remain free, because it is a really great way for me to share the art that I am creating for free. And it is a really great way for other people to support me for free, because it doesn't cost anything for you to hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything for you to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to watch my video. And if you're like me and you need me to talk faster, pop that speed up to 2 and watch it in 2 times double speed, because I just like that you're here. And I would love it if you would put in the comments something about yourself that surprised you. I think we all encountered that. I think we all have those moments where we learn something about ourselves and we find out that it's very surprising. So what's yours? What did you discover about yourself as an adult that you found very surprising? But the more you lean into it, the more you realize that it fits completely who you are. Tell me about it in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Know that I love you. You matter in this world, and I am so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me.